chapter. I will let you down.
Let's just keep it 100. A lot of people don't know who Joe Smith Jr. is. Not the basketball player. He's 22-1. He's been stopped once. He has 18 KOs. He was stopped very early in his career in August of 2010 against Eddie Caminero. It was in the 4th round of a 6-round fight. If I was to interview him, I would ask him what happened with that fight. But since his most notable win was back in June of this year with the upset of knocking out Fanfara in the 1st round. He's taken on Bernard, the executioner alien Hopkins, on the 17th of this month. It's now December. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe. Just so happens, I'm going to be seeing Bernard Hopkins this week in a couple of days at his media workout. What could be what they say is the final one of his career. But see, what we're going to talk about is, we're not going to talk about the things you already know. We're going to talk about the possibilities of what can possibly happen going forward in the future. So imagine, let's go look at the WBC rankings real quick. I know the top 5 off the top of my head, but I want to see. Okay, now listen to this, right? Adonis Stevenson is likely going to be fighting Alida Alvarez in February or March. Okay? Are you following me? That is Adonis Stevenson's WBC mandatory. Just so happened Alida Alvarez is fighting tomorrow or next week. He's fighting very soon in like a, stay busy type of fight. So that fight is a meaningful fight. I'm going to do a video on it. I'm trying to figure out who was the last Adonis Stevenson mandatory. He fought Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr., Tommy fucking Karpinski, Saki Obika. That was the first ever PBC on CBS bout card. Dmitry Sahutsky, Fanfara, and then Tony Bellew was his last fight on HBO before he jumped over, to Showtime. And that's when that whole Kovalev business went down. You also have Andre Ward, who is the WBO, WBA, and IBF champion. But let's focus on Bernard Hopkins. I don't want to confuse myself. What if, right, Joe Smith, next to Alida Alvarez, is set to be, if he defeats Bernard Hopkins, set to be the next WBC mandatory. Or what they might do is, they may say the winner of Joe Smith versus Bernard Hopkins has to fight Artur Beterbiev, and then they become the mandatory. But it all depends on what path Artur Beterbiev wants to go, because he's ranked high by the WBA. He was once at a point in time last year before he got hurt, the IBF mandatory for Kovalev, and he's a Heyman fighter, so he's rated by the WBO. So I really feel that the WBC would pull some strings, right? I really feel this, because every now and then they'll pull some strings for certain fighters. For example, what they did to try to force the Golovkin versus Canelo fight, and Canelo vacated his title. I'm sure the WBC probably went to Canelo and said, yo, bro, you Mexican, we don't want to strip you, but you're making us look stupid. So please, just give us the belt back, and it's better than us stripping you. When it came to Kovalev's WBC portion of the title, they made a unified champion the mandatory for their WBC champion, Adonis Stevenson, but it was supposed to go to purse bid. Kovalev's team pulled out of the purse bid. So what if they say, well, listen, you beat her. You beat Joe Smith. Listen, we'll make sure Adonis Stevenson fight Alida Alvarez in February, March, and then for your super last fight, your super last fight, why not let it be a title shot? But am I being selfish? I know the man is 51 years old. What is it going to be, 52, right? In February. In January. What is it? When is it? Oh, my Lord. It's going to be 52 on the 15th of January. I'm just torn. Because depending on how he looks against Joe Smith, will determine if he can beat Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson is just jab and left hand. Maybe the right hook to the body, but it's jab left hand. It's either jab left hand up to the top or jab left hand to the body. You know? It's just that eventually fighters get caught with that shit. You see what I'm saying? It's like, Pacquiao to a certain extent that he's going to keep firing that left hand so much that eventually you're going to get caught with it. It's all about if you stay up or not. The same thing with Adonis Stevenson, but let's not get it twisted. That left hand will fuck you up. Excuse my language. Adonis Stevenson, I understand what y'all say about him. How he duck. That left hand will fuck you up. You don't want those problems. But it all depends on how, B-Hop looks. I was at the fight. That was my first credential for any fight. Hopkins versus Kovalev. This one right here. I wish I knew what I knew now. I would have covered it. But I was a rookie. I was green. I was so green. Oh, that's Victor Ortiz. I got to put a thumbtack in that. I was so green. But, that performance, once Kovalev knocked him down, Hopkins went into severe defensive mode. Huh? There you go. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to interview him on Monday. Well, put it this way. You don't interview Bernard Hopkins. What you do is you ask him a question. You gotta decipher that shit. Cause he start talking, just other stuff. You'll ask him, well, B-Hop, which weight are you walking around at right now? And he'll say, well, see what it is it's not about the weight. It's about the education of the mind. Because back in the 1970s, questions wasn't asked about weight. Because, see, what it was is, if you remember, when the Apollo didn't go to the moon, not that one. I saw it with Tom Hanks, He just, you'll be looking like, yo, he's spitting some real shit. You'll be mesmerized. But then when you're home editing that shit, you're looking, what the fuck is he talking about? But anyway, no disrespect. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. All the links to my social media are right down below in the description box. Please subscribe.